Wonderful. Speaking of baseball and speaking of the St. Louis Cardinals, let's go to a guy who is a St. Louis Cardinal. Marco Gonzales, he won 4 straight Colorado State Championships pitching for Rocky Mountain High School here in Colorado. He was the 9th overall pick in the 2012 draft of the St. Louis Cardinals. He made his debut against his hometown Colorado Rockies. Marco, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, especially on short notice, Marco. Before we get to the series, tell us about your shoulder fatigue, because we all want to know when you're going to be back on the mound. You didn't throw a lot this year. What's with the shoulder fatigue? And that's kind of a vague description of what you had. What exactly did you have that kept you off the mound the majority of this year?
Yeah, well, it was vague on my end too, to tell you the truth. It was kind of a complicated deal. Really kind of something that went up and down through this year, and really just a tough thing because it's not a exact diagnosis. It was ruled an impingement, which means some things are kind of jamming up against each other in there. So, through everything, I went through some rehab and got it sorted out towards the end of the year, but just didn't have really enough time at the end of the season to really get in a groove. So, my season ended when the minor league season ended, and, really, for me, it's about getting rest and really being ready for 2016. So, kind of chalk it up to a year with some ups and downs and getting through it and hopefully turning the page to next year.
This is Woody. I was there when you were in the 4th grade and you pitched for the high school team and won the first high school championship. I think you won them, they ruled you were a professional after the 8th grade and said you can't win anymore? It's the most amazing run I've ever seen by a pitcher in the history of Colorado, truthfully, and I've wished nothing but good after meeting you and your dad when you were young. I know you've been asked this before, but were you disappointed? Everybody assumed that the Rockies would be smart enough to take you, and your dad's in the organization. He's still in the organization, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a manager for the short season Boise Hawks.
Yeah. How disappointing was it? And I assume you've gotten over it because I love the Cardinals, and obviously you love the Cardinals now, but not being able to pitch for the Rockies, or you like everybody else, you don't want to pitch.
Why would he want to pitch for the Rockies? 81 games at Coors Field? You crazy?
Yeah. Marco wants you to keep on talking, Woody, so he doesn't have to.
Oh, man. Well, I was taken by them out of high school in the 30th round, and just chose to go to college. That was my best option, I think. And so I had the option. The offer wasn't there. They didn't take me, where I wanted to. That would take me away from college. So that was that. But yeah, I would love to play. Obviously, I grew up, idolizing the Rockies. It's crazy now because being around guys like Matt Holliday, in spring training and then this year a little bit. I mean, it's just crazy because I grew up idolizing him and watching him, and then you're facing a lot of guys that I was watching on TV like 2 years ago, like you said, when I was in 4th grade. And so it's great to be around him, and it was unfortunate, but I guess I can't be too disappointed. I get an opportunity to play baseball, so I can't be too picky.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons, though, I brought it up, and I was having some fun with you there, as you could tell. But one of the reasons I brought it up is John Gray, who they did draft in the 1st round, comes in here and he says at the end of the year, he's just pitching at altitude. And he's kind of like that. And they had to quiet him down. The reason why I brought that up is you grew up pitching in altitude. It would seem to me like that's a perfect fit because people who grow up pitching in altitude are accustomed to it and aren't afraid of it. I mean, you couldn't, after all the time you pitched here, you weren't fearful of it. And I tend to believe that it's a mental problem for a lot of guys. Do you agree?
Yeah. Man, I think that I never really thought about it like that it would be, fit for me to pitch in my hometown because of that. But, I don't know. I guess it never really bothered me. I never knew the other side of not pitching in altitude. You know what I mean? So it was kind of, I guess, a different scenario for me. I never really saw the other side of it.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I believe the Latin pitchers pay no attention to it because they come in and they go, I pitch in wherever I might pitch. That's why I think that it gets into the heads of guys that they pitched at low level in this country, and they go in and go, oh, man, balls fly here. You saw balls flying around, the few games you did throw shutouts in high school, but you were accustomed to it. You adjusted to it. I don't think guys like John Gray know how to adjust to it. That's why I bring it up. I'll shut up now.
Let me ask you this. As big as the Broncos are in the state of Colorado, the Cardinals are at least as big in St. Louis and that part of the country. The Cardinals have been as good an organization as anybody in the last 3 or 4 years, but they've made it to the Final Four. What do you see in this team that makes you believe that, hey, this year it's a World Series ring?
Man, I think that there's a lot of different reasons I think that they could go all the way this year. I may be biased.
Say we. Let me help you out, kid. It's we. Say there are a lot of reasons we can go all the way.
Yeah, well, there you go. We can go all the way.
There you go.
I think they're battle tested this year. Honestly, the resiliency that I've seen with this organization, it's really like everyone says. It really truly is the next man up mentality where someone goes down at the beginning of the year, like Wainwright, and someone just steps in and fills the role, and there's no hesitation. There's no wrinkles in the system. It's smooth, and that's the way we're taught. I mean, in AAA, when someone goes up, you expect to go and perform and be involved right away. That's just the expectation. So that mentality going forward, now that they do have Wainwright, is dangerous. I think that their entire lineup, whoever we throw out there, I mean, they're just going to find a way to win, and they've done it all year. They haven't, exactly scored the most runs in the league, but they find a way to win and they pitch. So I think the playoffs are a whole different animal. They have experience in the playoffs, and you could throw the best team out there. I think the Blue Jays and the Cubs are two of the hottest teams going into the playoffs right now, but two teams that haven't been in the playoffs. So you don't know what to expect from them. It's a completely different world, and it should be interesting to watch for sure.
Marco, we don't know how much Yadier Molina is going to be able to contribute to the Cardinals this series because he's got a bad finger. You've thrown to Yadier quite a bit over the last couple of years. How important is he to the Cardinals, and could that be a difference maker in the series against the Cubs?
I mean, absolutely. Yadier Molina is probably one of the best players in the game. I think not only the best catcher in the game, but one of the best overall. Just because of the influence he has on all the other guys on the field at the same time. So he truly is a part of that staff. I think he's just as much a part of the pitching staff as Adam Wainwright or Walker, any of those guys, because he just controls the running game. He controls the mental game. I mean, he's the X factor. I mean, he does more things than people see on TV, and so playing with him, I got to see it, and it's truly impressive how much impact he has. So if he can't go, or if he's limited, it'll be a different story. But if he can have some impact, it'll help for sure.
Final question. What are your plans for the off season? Are you going to be able to go to the fall season? Are you going to just rest your arm and head into spring training? What's your attitude going to be about going into next season and what you're going to be able to do?
Right now, it's a mental reset. I'm spending some time getting married this off season, so lots
congratulations!
Of but
congratulations!
Appreciate it. Yeah. Spending some time with my fiance up in Seattle and getting some training in and really hitting the mental reset right now, getting my body some good rest, eating really well, and just trying to get my body in good shape to go into spring training. I know that it's going to be tough competition. With this team, it seems like we always have guys who are pushing the roster and everything. So it's going to be a fun year, and it's going to be a great offseason for sure.
Marco, do you get a playoff share this year? You going to get a little bit of a playoff share?
Well, they have to vote. It's whether they like him or not.
I think it's up to a vote, and I think you have to have a certain amount of days on the roster to be eligible for a vote. I'm not really sure how that works.
Well, I hope you would. I'd send some presents to those guys. I'd be nice to them because they can decide who they want to give a share to. And I want to finish off by saying that you have come so far from the first time I interviewed you. and you are a lot better quote now than you were when you were in 8th grade.
Marco, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I remember it, and it's funny. I didn't quite take in the moment like I needed to as a 15-year-old. But looking back, being interviewed by the great Woody Paige as a 4th grader, like you said, it's something that I remembered more. But
you are now Woody's favorite baseball player of all time, Marco.
Yes.